All right, afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this breakout session on leveling up with Google certification. So just want to say thanks for watching, and hopefully we can give you some great information during this breakout session. A couple of things just to take note of as we get started. There is a question and answer page that you can ask any of your questions in, and I will answer those at the end. So feel free to ask a question anytime, and I will get to those towards the end. If I don't get to answer it live on the call, I will answer it via a message on the same Q&A page. When we're doing anything live online, sometimes the quality can be a little bit varied based on where you are and your bandwidth and so on. So there is a cog right down in the bottom right-hand corner. And if you click on that, you can change the quality of the broadcast. So you can take that up or down accordingly. So feel free to use that if you need to. Right at the end of this session, I'm going to give you some resources, including a link to receive some vouchers for the certification exams at a discounted price. So make sure you stick around and to be able to pick those up. Those vouchers are available right throughout December. So I know it's a crazy time of year right now, but you might find a bit of time at the end of the year just to sit down and have a look at the Education Centre and then have a go at one of the exams. In this session today, what I'm going to do is just take you through a bit of a certification pathway and show you some of the resources and how it works, just to give you a bit of context and orientation, and that should point you in the right direction so that you can get started or continue on your journey. I'm just going to share my screen right now, and then we'll continue the conversation. So with our certification pathway, there is a number of courses or levels that you're able to partake in. So we start off with Google Level 1, and then we can progress on to Level 2, then we can progress to the Certified Trainer, and then lastly we have the Certified Innovator. And so when you work your way through these lessons, basically you can get one of the badges that you can see down the bottom here, and you can use that on your resume, in your email signature, different places where people like to put those. So encourage you to think about that in terms of not so much a micro credentialing course where it's really short and sharp. There is a fair few lessons involved in each of these levels, but you can progress at your own pace, which is fantastic. All right, so you may be interested to know that there have been over 40,000 teachers have been through the certification process. And that means that they've gone through the training centre, at least at some level, and then they've gone on to sit the exam for each of those levels and then moved on. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what's in the training centre, what's involved in the exams, and how you can go through and join that tribe of certified teachers at various levels. One of the things that the Google Online Training Centre provides for us is a whole range of lessons, and you can see here that they're based on the SAMR model, and they're based on the ISTE standards for those of you who may be watching from America, or those of you in Australia and New Zealand who are interested in the ISTE standards. And basically, it's not just about the tool, it's about how do we use this tool effectively in the classroom. So the lessons are teaching you how to use the tools that Google provides to education, but they also have a really nice framework and an application. And the whole concept of this has been developed by teachers, so it's a very teacher-centric kind of program. You'll notice that the next thing that we have here is that the content all is free and it's online. Now, there are quizzes as you go throughout the content to test your knowledge. There's videos that you can watch. There's all the lessons that are there. There is a place for you to take notes under your account and so on. And so you can access all of that 100% for free. And then there is a test that you can take. You don't have to take it, but it's a nice way to demonstrate your mastery of the content. And those tests do have a fee associated with them. It's not a large fee, but we'll explain all of that as we go. There are three main themes that all of the lessons throughout the Level 1 and Level 2 certified trainer program around, and it's about increasing efficiency and time. When we survey the teachers that we work with, the number one complaint that we hear is that we're so busy. And so there are some great tools to help you save some time and become more efficient in your teaching practice. We also talk a little bit about professional growth and leadership and how do we lead change in the school and so on. And then we can look at how do we facilitate and inspire student learning and creativity. So there's multi-levels. It's how do you lead change, how do you train other teachers and impart knowledge, how do you work with students and so on. Now, in the level 1 course, I guess one of the things that I like to do is, answer the question, well, why would you want to look at becoming a level 1 educator? And I think one of the major reasons is that you just love to learn new things. As teachers, we should be modeling the fact that we want to learn. And quite often, we'll go to professional development days, or we'll have a speaker come to our school, or we'll see something on YouTube or Twitter, and we're constantly learning. But one of the things that the Google Level 1 course does is it consolidates all of that learning into a really nice framework and a pathway for us. Now, one of the other things that it does is it gives us a big picture. So we get to see from start to finish, how do you use Google Docs effectively in your school? And how do you use that with collaborative planning? Or how do you use that with your students? And it kind of fills in some of those pieces. When we run boot camps on this, one of the comments that is most frequently given to us at the end was, wow, I thought I knew a lot about Google, and now I realize how much I didn't know. So it does fill in some of those gaps in terms of your knowledge and your practice. And then the third reason that you'd want to consider becoming a level 1 educator is that it's great to demonstrate your competence, whether that is to the staff around you, whether it's just to your own self, whether that's on your resume because you're going for a job or something like that. So a number of reasons why you might consider having a look at the level 1 certification program. Inside the program, and I'll show you how to access the program and a little bit about its structure and function in a minute, but just as an overview, there are 39 lessons that are in that. And if you were to fully engage in all of those lessons, so to read all the text, to watch all the videos and so on, it would take you about 12 hours to work your way through all of that content. Again, it's a robust program. It's certainly not something that you'll just sit down in an afternoon and just rip your way through. It will be something that you need to spend a little bit of time on. So here's what's required to achieve the level 1 program. You need to have a good understanding of the benefits of technology and in education and in digital citizenship. So that's one of the themes that you'll be required to understand a little bit, and how Google supports that. And then you'll also learn about Google Chrome and how to use search properly. And you'll learn about Gmail and Google Hangouts, and you'll look at Google Calendar and Keep and Drive and Docs and Sheets and Slides and Forms and everything that goes inside that G Suite package. You'll also uncover how you use Classroom effectively. You'll learn about Google Groups for communication and so on. And you'll also look at Google Sites and YouTube. So you can see that there is quite a bit in here in terms of what you will learn and what you need to know. Now, in terms of demonstrating your knowledge, you could go through all of that and just feel great about the fact that you've learned something. But if you want, you can also sit an exam. Now, the exam isn't just a Google form and you answer some multiple choice questions. It's quite a robust exam. It's run by a third-party company, and you do have a time limit of 3 hours to sit the exam. So it's a timed exam. Now, I would say that out of all the teachers that we've worked with, and to be honest, that's thousands in a live scenario, watching them take this test, I would say about half of them take the full 3 hours. Whether that's they've gone through and they've finished it and then they want to take some time to go back and look at their answers again. But it is quite a long test to be able to sit. There are 20 multiple choice questions that you need to answer, and that could be drag and drop. It could be, select the 3 most, correct answers, those sorts of things. There are 11 scenarios, and so you'll actually be required to do and demonstrate your knowledge inside a test environment. You do need to have a webcam. The reason for that is that it will just take pictures of you inside the exam environment every now and then to make sure that it is you doing it. Obviously, you need to have stable internet. It is an open browser exam, so you can be, searching for the answers. But again, a lot of people struggle with time, so you need to be good on your knowledge and your skills. You'll see here that the questions need to be answered in an exam account. So when you register to take the exam, it takes about a day for the exam centre to prepare the exam and send it through to you. And then you've got a 7-day window to take the test. So you really don't want to be registering for the exam until you know within a week that you've got a little bit of availability, that you can set aside the 3 hours to take the test. If you fail the exam, and you'll see up the top here that you do need to have an 80% pass mark to pass the test. You need to wait 14 days. You will need to pay for the exam again to resit it, but you can, at least you learn from your mistakes and you move on, which can be really helpful. And obviously we talk to teachers all the time and we say the same thing that we say to our students: failure is not final, it's just a learning opportunity for us. So you can see that this is quite a robust process that you need to go through. Here's an example of a scenario that you may be asked in the level 1 exam. So you can see that they would give you a bit of a scenario. Then they would say, open up Google Groups and create a new group, and then configure the settings to a particular way that you want that group to run. And then I want you to invite some people into that group, and then maybe you need to post in that group. So you can see from that one scenario that you need to have a really good understanding of how Google Groups would work, how to create them, how to post them, how to invite people, and so on. You can see here that there's another one that might use Google Sheets, for instance, and it will ask you to make copies of files, and it will ask you to use formulas and filters and charts and be able to really engage with the data that's in that spreadsheet. So one of the things that I would encourage you, just having a look at a little bit of an example of what sort of level you need to interact in, is that when teachers finish this exam, they quite often say that this is one of the most successful things that I've ever done. They really do feel the pressure that their students are under. And so one of the things that we need you to understand is that just because it's a Google Level 1 certification, Level 1 does not equal 101 in terms of introduction and ease. So it certainly does introduce you to the topic, and it takes you through and it scaffolds you through that, but it's not the type of thing where if you use Google a fair bit, then you can just go, oh, well, I use Google, I'll just have a go at the exam. We do find that teachers who have tried that approach, there is a failure rate of around about 65 to 70%, just to give you an idea of how that floats. Now, in the level 2 exam, once you've passed level 1, or you can just skip level 1 altogether and go straight to level 2 if you really wanted to, you can sit through a level 2 certification. Again, why would you do this? Well, this is for people who just want to dig deep into each of those tools and really explore the functions and features of those tools, plus get introduced to a few other tools that weren't part of the level 1 certification. And also what it does is it really develops your confidence and competence as a teacher. You just know that you know your stuff when you've been through this course. And it just gives you that confidence, whether that's presenting to staff and helping them adopt Google technology, or whether it's with your students and so on. Again, this is structured very similar to the level 1 course, and I'll show you again in a second what all of this looks like. But there are 31 lessons. If you were to go through all of those lessons, it would take you about 15 hours or thereabouts to do that. Again, what you'll find to get the level 2 course is that now you don't just need to have a sound understanding of G Suite, you need to have like a really advanced understanding. And we do introduce some coaching models into that. So, we look at different ways that you can start to support other teachers in your school and help them on their particular journey. So now you need to understand not just the basics of Google search, but we start to look at things like Google Books and Google Scholar and some of those lesser known Google search tools. We go deeper into Gmail and Calendar and Keep. We go deeper into Google Drive and Docs and Slides and so on. And we start to dig into using add-ons, and we start to look at things like HyperDocs and so on. Of course, you'd expect us to dig even deeper into Google Classroom. But then we also introduce some features like Google Maps and Google Earth and Expeditions and so on. Now, in terms of that exam, the exam is exactly the same. So it's a 3-hour exam. but there are more questions. So there are 25 multiple choice questions. There are 12 scenarios, not 11. And by the way, each of those scenarios will have a different number of tasks in them. So it could be that there would be, one scenario might have 4 elements to that particular task. Again, you need to pass by 80%. And again, exactly the same in terms of registration process. It takes about a day to spin up the exam account. You log into that exam account that Google create for you, so you don't do the exam in your own account. You log in with the one that they've given you. From here, what you can then do is go on and look at the Google Certified Trainer program. Now, most people who would get to this point would be doing this because they have a responsibility of training other people, either within their school or within their cluster of schools, or again, maybe you just love to learn. And the fact is you could go and engage in all of this information, but then not go on and take the exam and not apply. So the process for the certified trainer is a little bit different. There is an exam that you need to do. And there is another application process that goes on top of this, and I'll show you that in a minute. And now, this one's a little bit different. It's about 20 lessons, and it's about 30 hours if you engage fully in the content. And this, to be honest, is all about coaching models, professional development, planning, and things like that. So it's quite interesting for people who are in that role where they're leading change inside the school. Now, just to give you a little bit of insight into the exam and then the application process that follows that. The exam's a lot shorter, so it's just a 90-minute exam, and it's just 25 multiple choice questions. So again, a little bit different to how level 1 and level 2 happens. And to be able to apply, before you even get to the application process, you need to have gone through and completed the course and passed that exam. You'll notice here that you also need to have the Google Level 1 and Level 2 educator program. So if you're the type of person who would like to just skip to Level 2 and have a go at that first, if your intention is to go on and become a Google certified trainer, then you will need to go back and do Level 1 anyway. You will need to create a video explaining a little bit about you and demonstrating some knowledge. And then you can go through an application process. And I'll show you and give you the links to all of this in a minute. The last one we have here is a Google Certified Innovator. It used to be the Google Certified Teacher, if you're familiar with that term. And this is a little bit different. It's not so much about using Google tools per se, although obviously that is a part of it. What this, I guess, is about is you're doing something innovative in your school, and you're making some changes, and you're maybe pushing some boundaries, and you're thinking a little bit outside the square. And now what you want to do is you want to join with another tribe. You want to connect with other teachers. You want to be recognized for the work that you're doing in your school or in your district around that. So this is a little bit different. It's not a training course. There's no exams that you need to sit, but there is an application process that goes with that. So to apply, you need to have at least Google Certified Educator Level 2. There is a presentation. You have to make a slide deck talking about the project, your big goal, your vision for changing education, and what you would like to do within your capacity and sphere of influence to try and enact some kind of change. You'd need to make a quick video about that, what your project is, your passion project is, and then you were to go through a application process. Now, for the certified trainer and the certified innovator, what we do have is a number of activities that you have to participate in once you become approved, and I'll just run you through those in a second. So let's just jump in and have a quick look at the training center. When you go to the training center, and if you just Google search Google Education Training Center, you'll come up to a page that will look something like this, and you'll have access to the different certifications here on the left-hand side. When you're looking at the Google Level 1 and Level 2 sections, what you'll see is that there's a Get Training section, there's a Get Practice section, and then there's a Get Certified. And this is where you would register for the exam. And again, I'll give you a code which drops the price dramatically of that exam. You just drop the code in. It takes about a day, and then you've got a week to set it. So if I was to click on this Get Training section just here, what you'll do is you'll see that it drops me into the fundamentals training. That's the Google level 1. And then I have a range of different lessons in here, or segments or units, and each of those units will have different lessons within them. Once you complete a lesson, you'll see that it gets ticked off. And to complete a lesson, basically, you just click on this section just here, and we'll have the lessons on the left-hand side. So this lesson here is all about exploring the benefits of digital technology in the classroom. So you could read through some sections, you could think about a couple of questions, you could jot down some ideas if you wanted to. You can engage in what other people have shared in terms of their thoughts and reflections. There's some videos that you can watch if you want, and then so on. At the end of every lesson, you'll see that there's a lesson check. And what you can do is you can choose the answer and say check answer, and it will give you some immediate feedback. Now, you can try this as many times as you like, and you'll see that you get through. Now, you don't have to answer all these questions correctly. You can just move on to the next lesson, which is fine. At the end of each unit, you'll also see that there is a unit review. And when you are doing the unit review, it will just ask you some questions in here. You give it some answers. And this is very typical of the multiple choice type of questions that you would be asked in the exam. And then what you can do, write down the answer at the bottom is go submit answers, and it will just tell you what your result was. Again, it's not a requirement. It's just there for your own benefit. If I was to look at the level 2, the advanced training, it would be exactly the same as that. But if I go to the trainer course, this is a little bit different. So you'll see here that there are units of work, and each of those units in here have different lessons, and it gives you a rough indication of how long each lesson will be. But when you get right down to the very end, it says here, become a Google for Education certified trainer. What that will look like when you get to the end of all of this is it will show you a little bit of a application process. So there's a couple of questions like who should join in here and why should I join, what's the benefits, and so on. And then if you have a look at this, how can I join, it'll tell you what the requirements are. And you'll see that I just took this and put it into the slide presentation from just before. So you can see what the activities will be here at the end. What you need to be able to do is conduct and report at least 12 training coaching sessions per year. You need to share ideas and resources with your community of trainers. So we're sharing ideas as a tribe, and then you need to reapply every year or so and just keep things up to date. So it could be that you want to engage in the content, but not necessarily all go through all the way, or it could be that you want to really go through and be recognized as your role in your school or in your district as being able to lead change effectively and so on. And having that badge certainly helps. One of the great things about this is that you do access also a program of other or a community of other trainers, and there is a community where we discuss questions and share ideas. So it's a great place to stay up to date, always seeing what people are doing, trying innovative things and so on. And that's exactly the same as the Certified Innovator, that you join a community of like-minded professionals who will work with you on that certification process. So I'm going to wrap up in a minute and just answer some of your questions. So just a reminder that there is a question and answer section, and I'll check that in a minute, and I'll make sure that I answer your questions before we finish. So I want to just give you a couple of resources that will help you get started on your journey, and a couple of different ways that we might be able to work with you on this. So the first way is we've got a certification cheat sheet that you might like to access. And basically what we'll do, it's just a bank of resources where we give you some check boxes to just check that you understand some of the content. We give you some example questions and some of the resources that we've developed. So if you're interested in that, then you can just go to utb.fyi and then /google-edu-center. Just fill out the form so we've got your email, and then more than happy to send that out to you and have a look at it. And you can use that in conjunction with the Education Center. It's kind of like just a bit of a summary of what goes on in there. The next option is that you may like to join us for a live bootcamp. we get together with teachers for 2 days, and we take you through all the content that you need to know. And we also sit the exam together in a supportive environment. So if you're interested in that, obviously it's the end of the year and we're wrapping up all of our professional development. But if you would like to be notified about that for next year, or if you'd like to host one of these boot camps in your school or in your region, then certainly let us know, and we'll organize that with you for next year. But a boot camp's a great way just to be in a room, set the time aside, do it in a consolidated way, sit the exam so you're not putting it off, and then you'll be good to go after that. The last one is that we actually do have all of our training available online, and so you may want to have a look at our online professional learning network. We've got all of our training videos in there. We give you real-time support and so on. Now, also just a reminder that there is a special discount code that Google have created, and it's valid for all of December. So when you go into the training center and you register, what happens is if you can put in that code, obviously the top code is for the level 1 and then the bottom code is for the level 2, you're able to get a hold of that at a discounted price, at least 50% off level 1, and I think it's 75% off level 2. In terms of cost, the level 1 exam is $10 US, and the level 2 exam is $25 US. So again, not a massive cost, but those vouchers would certainly help out. So let me just have a quick look at some questions as we wrap up, and I'll leave those details up on the screen for you to take a screen capture of or to write down. So someone's asking, what are the fees for each exam? And somebody is saying, also, is there a fee for the annual update? So yeah, so basically when you register for the exam, you pay the $6 for level 1, $10 for level 1 and $25 US for level 2. And then when you do your update, to be honest, I'll have to get back to you on that. I can't remember if I had to pay for it. I assume I did, but again, the numbers aren't massive. So someone's asking, Cindy's asking, are the exams NESA registered for New South Wales teachers? That is like the #1 question we get asked. We certainly, if we do a boot camp, our training is registered with NESA. But in terms of doing it just on your own, I'm not 100% sure if that's the case. But if our boot camps and the exam that go with that definitely are. Okay, someone's asked here, after getting certified for level 1, am I certified to carry out on-site training for other teachers? Well, I guess the answer to that is yes and no. I mean, yes, you can. I mean, there's nothing, you don't have to have a certification to go and present to other teachers, although what it does do is it gives you, I guess, a little bit of credibility that you can say, you know what, I know my stuff and I've answered the exam and I've passed the exam, so that the people that you are presenting to are feeling confident about your ability. So I guess the answer to that would be yes. Someone's saying screen's gone a bit fuzzy. Can we put the discount code in? Yep, we can. And if you have a look on Twitter, I've seen that those codes have been shared around on Twitter a little bit as well. So if you search the Education on Air hashtag, I'm sure you'll find it. So someone's asking, is the certification global or region specific? It's a global international program. The program is in different languages. I'm not exactly sure what languages they are, but you can have a look at that. For sure. Can this slide deck be made available? Absolutely. If you, I'll put it out on Twitter and you can follow me at Mike Redding. It's just there on the screen that you're looking at. Or if you put your details into this Google form here, I'll put that as one of our resources that we send out as well. All right, and Ingrid's asking, are the certifications available both in New Zealand and Australia / worldwide? Yes, absolutely they are. We can, and we provide training for both countries in terms of our boot camps and so on. All right, let me just have a look. Any other questions that are coming in? And by the way, in terms of that global, it is a globally recognized certification as well. So one of the things we do is, you know, for instance, we provide training in Singapore and America and so on. And we know that the people that we're working with, when they get the certification in those countries, it's exactly equivalent to what's happening in Australia or New Zealand. the UK, and so on. Excellent. So again, it's all online. You don't have to obviously do boot camps. You don't have to engage in our online training. Everything that you need is available for free online in the Education Training Centre. And it really is laid out in a really nice scaffolded way. Yeah, if you've got any questions, keep filing them into that Q&A page. I'm more than happy to answer them. Or send us an email at support@usingtechnologybetter.com, or shoot me a message on Twitter. More than happy to answer your questions for you about the exam or about the what's in the course and so on. So I appreciate you taking your time out of your Saturday to be a part of this session, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the breakout sessions that are starting right now.